I sweat profusely, awaiting the dreaded moment. Each tick of the clock tenses my muscles that much more, every minute making more hairs stand on end. It's coming for me, I can feel it. Death. Death in the form of a single sheet of paper. I take the small pile of papers from the student in front of me and pass it backwards after plucking off the top piece. Looking to the top right of the page, I find my fears realized within that small red circle. 43. I hang my head and sigh in resignation. Cursing under my breath, I can feel the aura of a similar sentiment rising from the entire class. It's strange, but that fact lifts my mood by a minuscule amount. Misery loves company, I suppose. As the teacher opens her mouth, the room braces for the inevitable onslaught. Only to be saved at the last minute. We quickly move to collect our bags and leave for lunch post-haste, but the teacher delivers a parting broadside. We'll be discussing the test scores next lesson. Needless to say, there will be quite some discussion to be had. A collective groan resounds from the class, now reduced to shuffling out dejectedly. I push the sheet into my bag as I walk along the hallway, crumpling it in the process. It's enough that such a troublesome letter ended up on my desk yesterday, and now this. I hate English. His Sal. A stern female voice gruffly calls out from behind me. I freeze on the spot, my face becoming like stone. It's as if I can feel my brain disconnecting from my body. My eyes slowly shift right, trying to catch a glimpse of the disembodied voice. Nothing? My face begins to slip as time passes, and I decide to risk turning my head. Ever so slowly, I twist it to the Gah! I jump into the air and drop my bag, yelling out in surprise. As I recover and regain my composure, I turn to see. I should have known. Emmy. Gotcha, Hassau. She stands there with a mischievous grin on her face, hands forward and fingers pointed inward. She was the one who jabbed my ribs with her fingers. I look down at her with a grimace, rubbing my hair in frustration. That's no way to greet someone, you know. You have no sense of humor, she replies. I left my sense of humor in my English class. Complain to the teacher if you want it given back to me. She pulls her best puppy dog eyes on me as she pouts. Lily's managed to build up my resistance to the tactic, but Emmy's short stature adds enough to the effect to make me relent. So how are things, I say. I haven't seen you around for a while. Same old, same old. I run so fast, nobody wants to join me on my morning runs. It's a real pain. Her modesty never fails to amuse me. Although... Uh-oh. You know what I'm thinking, don't you, Hassau? Wearing my emotions on my sleeve is one of my worst habits. She's seen right through me. Fortunately, I see somebody else approaching us that will give me an out. Oh, hi, Hanako, I say right quick. I give her a welcoming wave and try my best at looking like I haven't noticed Emmy's pouting face. She gives a small wave back. Hello, Hassau. Emmy. Hey, Hanako. I'll join you and Lilly in a second, I tell Hanako. Actually, speaking of lunchtime company, it's odd to see you without Ren, Emmy. Ah, Ren! Without a second word, she forgets all about us and bolts off down the hallway. She must have forgotten she was waiting for her. Hanako and I stand speechless, only able to helplessly stand and watch this ball of seemingly boundless energy dash off. Oh yeah, Hassau? She suddenly stops herself just before vanishing around the corner to the rooftop staircase, spinning around to meet our bemused faces. I hate English too, she says. And with that, she disappears. All I can do is hang my head and give a long sigh, thoroughly left in the dust. As I hear a short giggle coming from behind me, I turn to see Hanako smiling at the corner my attacker rounded. I pick up my drop bag from the floor and quickly dust it off. Afternoon. Been busy? You don't like English? She says. Nah. I had a test on it a while back, and Emmy caught me brooding about the results. Ah, sorry. She averts her gaze, guilt written up on her face. A casual observer would think she just accidentally reminded me of a dead relative. Come on, it's not your fault, I say. How are you doing in it? She looks up, though still avoids meeting my eyes. All right, I suppose. An awkward silence passes. They seem all too common around Hanako. Oh, Lilly asked if you'd like to join us for lunch on the roof. I guess I don't exactly have any pressing engagements to attend to. Sure, I'll be right up, I tell her. I'll go get my lunch from the cafeteria now. Then. Go on, I say. You don't need my approval to leave, you know. Okay, I'll be going then. She gives a skittish reply, a small nod, and quickly makes off toward the cafeteria. I guess she must have forgotten to bring lunch today. As I walk through the hallways, more and more students start to come out of classrooms and pass me, going in the same direction as Hanako went. By the time I manage to make it to the stairs, I'm having to push my way past a busily chatting throng of students. I finally manage to get past the last of the crowd and round the staircase, slumping slightly in relief and slowing my pace before I open the door to the roof. Ah, damn! I momentarily avert my eyes, all but blinded by the harsh summer sun. As I slowly regain my vision, the surroundings finally take form. Lilly, Emmy, and Rin sit together on the rooftop, the top of the hilltop forest around Yamaku visible past the fence around them, as if to frame the view. Ah, Hisao! Lilly and Rin give a quick nod of acknowledgement and a deep nod of greeting, respectively. I start walking toward the rather mismatched trio and can't help marveling at the speed with which Emmy devours the rest of her half-eaten banana. Hey, I say, strange to see you three together like this. It seems to have been quite the day of coincidences, Lilly says. Emmy and Rin decided to eat on the roof just as Hanako and I decided to. You stole it, Emmy says. This spot was ours. Simmer down. You can't steal a place in the school, I tell her. I plunk myself down beside Lilly, the four of us creating a semicircle. I think she is right. You too, I say to Ren. The butterfly is her accomplice. The butter... As I glance around, sure enough, a small yellow butterfly floats across my field of vision. So tell me, how did this butterfly help Lilly steal this spot? I ask Ren. It scouted out our conversation and told her. I should have known better than to expect sound reasoning from Ren. Regardless, I guess it wouldn't hurt to play along. You're telling me she can talk to butterflies? There are people who can talk to horses, called horse whisperers. Lilly must be a butterfly whisperer. I bury my head in my hands as Emmy rounds on her strange companion. She doesn't seem to share Ren's sense of humor. Whispers don't work like that, she says. Emmy and Ren continue their banter as I turn to Lilly, who's busily finishing off her small box of curry and rice. So, what brought you up here anyway? A little fresh air every now and again doesn't hurt, she says. Ah! Emmy breaks off from her vain attempts to introduce the concept of logic to Ren. That was why we came up here too, she says. Something tells me it was her idea alone, and that Ren only got dragged up here on Emmy's whim. Then again, the same could probably be said of Lilly and Hanako. Now, we can share. The creaking of the door to the roof can be heard as soon as she says the words. A moment of silence falls over us as everyone's attention focuses on the figure appearing from it. Hanako slowly walks over to us, her eyes pinned to the ground, silently ruining the attention she's attracting. She tenses, just barely, when her eyes meet Ren's. I can't help raising an eyebrow as she walks over to us and sits next to me, doing her utmost to avoid looking up even as she brings her cafeteria bread to her mouth. So, how do you and Emmy know each other anyways? Emmy's somewhat well known around the school for her athletic ability, Lilly explains. She's the fastest member of the track and field club by some margin, even beating Miki Miura at the track meet last week. Miki Miuri. Ah, that tan girl from the front of my class. Considering her height and toned body, being able to beat her is quite an accomplishment. Looking over to Emmy, it's very clear she's well aware of this fact as she beams proudly. So, Hisao, what was your score in English? She says. Ouch. No comment, I reply. Boo. She puffs her cheeks and pouts, but it doesn't take long for her to bounce back. All right, if I tell you mine, you have to tell me yours. Deal? Fine. Okay, on the count of 3, we both say our results. 1, 2, 3. 32, she says. I say nothing. I beam a mischievous grin. Ah, evil. You said it, not me. Still, the fact that you managed an even lower score than mine is kind of amazing. Grrr. She looks and sounds like a small terrier growling at an intruder. I can't say it's the most threatening sight I've ever seen. Either way, Lilly says, scoring higher than 32 isn't something to boast about, much less scoring below it, for any subject. Yes, Lilly. Sorry, Lilly. I could help you with your English if you'd like. It would be my pleasure to... No, that's fine, Emmy says, but I appreciate the thought, really. Lilly looks slightly deflated, her hopes of imparting her knowledge dashed. Judging from the badly hidden laughter from the rest of us, neither she nor Emmy seem to have garnered too much pity. As I sit happily laughing, though, I feel my voice suddenly cut off as my chest clenches. I sit in silence for a few seconds, all my concentration forced on my heartbeat. It's only a small pain, but the ache feels like it's growing. Breathe deeply. I glance upward and try to keep at least some of my attention on my surroundings, to see Emmy suddenly freezing when she noticed the expression of pain on my face out of the corner of her eye. Hey, Hisao? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, I reply. I look back down and redouble my efforts to try and stay calm, clenching my fist to try and dull the pain. It takes a short time, but the pain, thankfully, begins to fade. When I look back up, there's only silence and pensive faces to be seen. I guess I'd better explain myself. Arrhythmia, I say. I'm fine, it's just a heart flutter. Are you sure? Should we get the nurse? Lilly says. Taking her cue, Hanako quickly picks herself up and begins to dash to the door. Hanako, stop. Lilly, I'm fine. You look like a wet, wrinkled tomato, Ren says. Huh? As I bring my hand to my forehead, I can feel the beads of sweat gathering on it and dab them off with my cuff. Oh, thanks. I told you I'm fine. I just kind of fragile, I guess. The entire atmosphere changed from one of gaiety to downcast faces, the situation being too awkward for anyone to know exactly how to react. And of course, the whole thing is thanks to me. It just had to happen now around others. Oh, Emmy? She looks up, a box of juice halfway to her mouth. Lily continues. I haven't told you of my score yet, have I? Yeah, well, you're half foreign, so your score doesn't count anyway. Lifting an eyebrow, I inquisitively turned to Lily. What was your test result, anyway, I ask. She gives a cheeky grin. 100% perfect score. No way. All I can do is hang my mouth open in wonder. Considering those tests are insane, even for some native speakers, I can only imagine she's gone and done something like committing to mind part of the dictionary. A gift for rote memorization, maybe. That's... See, Emmy interrupts. Only someone part foreign could get a score that good. See? I question. Lily and I grin at Emmy's expense, her reaction identical to mine when I first tripped on that little landmine. Lily's foreign ancestry does raise a point, though. Ah, that's right. You leave tomorrow for Scotland, don't you? I ask. That's correct. Emmy heard some rumors about it. It seems word spreading quickly, considering I only told a friend in my class a couple of days ago. It must be so nice to go halfway around the world on a holiday, Emmy says. Hey, could you buy me something while you're there? Don't be too shy now, I say. Lily gives a light-hearted giggle, evidently fully expecting Emmy's bluntness. The rest of the lunch continues much the same as before, the jauntiness from before my heart flutter thankfully returning in full. As everyone files off with the appropriate farewells, only Lily and I are left. Hey, Lily. She packs the last of her things into her bag and clips it shut before perking her head up slightly. Thanks for breaking the silence back there. I kind of wanted to stop it, but didn't really know how to. As much as I'd like to sound less morose about it, the letter from yesterday, screwing up a test so badly in class, and now my heart make things very hard indeed. She gives an indulgent smile and nods. I hope she hasn't picked up on it, but knowing her, it's unlikely that she hasn't. Emmy's strong, but only human. We do worry about you, Hisao. Hold on, I say. Why would I worry you? Her smiling face collapses, becoming uncomfortably serious. Hisao, we are not ignorant of your situation. Unlike... She suddenly cuts herself short, unsure of whether she should say what she intends to. I give a weak smile and rest my hand on her shoulder. Don't. It's enough that I worry about it. I don't want you all to shoulder my burden. But if you all worry about it, I have to worry about your worrying, if that makes sense. I'm fine, okay? For a moment, she looks to be lost in thought, carefully pondering how to react. Hisao, do you have any paper left from your food's packaging? I think so. I'll just check. I rummage around in my bag for the leftovers from lunch, eventually finding a paper square from my sandwich's packet. My eyebrows raised and my expression rather quizzical, I gently place the square into Lily's hand. Without another word, she brings her fingers around it to feel out its edges. This should be large enough. With both of us seated on the roof, the minutes to the lesson ticking away, she proceeds to lay the item on the ground and begin her work in earnest. Wrapped in silence, I watch her fingers move about on the small square with amazing dexterity. A small fold here, a larger fold there. Her fingertips keep a slow but sure pace. Looking up, her expression is calm and placid. The fact her face is pointed well above the sheet in front of her makes the sight of her work all the more curious. Her shoulders slump a bit after finishing one final fold, her work apparently done. It's only when she holds the item up in her hands that I realize what it is. A small origami crane. Light brown thanks to the packaging used, the result looks quite delicate and precise. You can do origami? I taught myself how to do it when I was younger. It improved my dexterity a bit. Huh. A little baffled, I carefully take the small bird from her pale cupped hands, as if it would break from the slightest breath. It seems to be folded quite well and holds its shape easily. We both grab our bags and head out to the door, Lily extending her cane as she does so. I hold Lily's handiwork up to my face for further inspection while we walk down the hallway, her hand running along the silver handrails for orientation. If she taught herself origami to improve her dexterity, with the use of her hands meaning so much to her given her condition. Ah, so that's it. I smile as I realize the bird's meaning. Everyone here has had to find their own ways of dealing with their conditions. You aren't alone here when you have problems. Thanks, Lily, I say. I appreciate this. She gives a sweet smile and a nod, not using words when none need to be used, in her typical manner. All I ask is that you take care of yourself, Hisao. Don't worry, I tell her. I will. Promise? Promise. And with that, we part ways. To be honest, I don't know what annoys me more. The fact that I could die at any moment, or the fact that everyone knows that. I guess I'll just take each day as it comes, as the unexpected present in my hand reminds me I'm not alone here. Even though I may be like this, I'm not alone. If they worry, if anyone worries, I'll smile. I'll smile enough for all their worries to go away. And we awaken to a very stressful day today. We run into Emmy, fortunately, not literally, as we did in the earlier days of this story. And she tries rather half-heartedly one last time to get us to go running with her. She says she can't get anyone to go. And she says, oh, wait a second. And fortunately, Hanako comes walking up at just that moment. We follow Hanako. Lily decides she's going to spend time up on the roof today, so we follow Hanako up onto the roof to find all four of the girls waiting for us there. We've got almost a cast reunion going on here. This doesn't come as much a surprise, being that we have already done the Emmy path. That was the first one we went down, of course, and Emmy and Rin seem to spend half their lives up here on the roof. If Emmy isn't on the roof, she's at the track. They sit and discuss their test scores from the big English test that they had today, finding out that Emmy scored even lower than we did. Lily offers to tutor, which I'm assuming was an offer thrown out for both of them. Emmy turns her down. We don't say anything, which is rather unusual because I would have thought that Hisao would take her up on it, as we already know that he's hot for teacher. Unfortunately, the stresses of the day do finally overcome us, and Hisao goes into one of his heart flutters, has an arrhythmia attack. This has quite the shocking effect upon the four girls, all of them being quite concerned about what's going on. It's interesting to compare in the different stories just how much his heart comes into it. In Emmy's, it only ever had problems with his heart whenever he was running. When he was running and exercising and pushing himself too much, he would have heart flutters. Here, he has had a heart flutter now for just stress. No real reason, just sitting around laughing and just general mental stress causing him to have one. And we remember in Haneko's pathway, he never really had a problem with his heart until, the only time it ever came up was during their one sex scene where they sat there and were kind of concerned about whether it was a good idea or not and whether his heart would be able to take it. And he talked about, we'll go slow. So lunch ends, and it's just Lily and Hisao left on the rooftop as they get ready to go back to class. And he brings up the subject of his heart and how it really bothers him that people worry about it. He says, y'all worry about it, and then I have to worry about y'all worrying about it. And how he'd like to share, he doesn't want anyone else shouldering his burden, as it were. Lily's answer is to fold and give him a little origami crane, which he figures out the significance of. The crane in Japan, the little origami cranes, are a sign of well, they've got quite a story. They're given, for instance, wedding gifts. You give them in wedding gifts or journeys or stuff like that. You give a gift of 1,000 paper cranes as a wish of long life and health and happiness. It's a legend in Japan that if anyone that completed folding 1,000 paper cranes would either be given a wish, depending on some versions of the story, or would be given, long life and happiness, one or the other. The tradition became popularized whenever the story of, I think her name was Sadako, a young Japanese girl who happened to be about 2 years old during the bombing of Hiroshima and was, of course, exposed to the radiation. By the age of 12, she had developed leukemia and was in the hospital dying from it, and started folding paper cranes, trying to get her 1,000 cranes. And she didn't make it. Didn't complete the 1,000 cranes and didn't die and didn't live. So that's one of the things now at the Hiroshima Monument is that visitors and all bring paper cranes to try and complete her task for her. Couple of books about it. It's a very sad and touching story there. So it helps Hisao to realize that the people around him, his friends, do care for him and are willing to help him with his problems. That no matter what he's going through, everybody else is going through stuff too, and they all recognize that. So Lily gets a promise from him that he'll take care of himself, and he makes the promise to her that yes, he will make sure that he does his best to try and live a long and happy life. So we will continue from here in the next episode.